Okay, now let's shift gears and talk about bonds for a while. Today we'll talk about bond features and eventually we'll get into the valuation of bonds. So first we'll talk about debt versus equity. Then there's some bond terminology that you'll need to become familiar with. And then later we'll talk about the price and yield and yield to maturity of a coupon bond. You'll learn all that fun stuff. So in the business, there's debt and equity considerations to be held. So in your capital structure is made of both, debt and equity. Debt is not an ownership interest in the firm. It's just, a loan. Creditors will lend money to the corporation. In exchange, the corporation pays interest to pay off the debts. Of course, these interest payments are tax deductible. So debt does create leverage, which is actually a good idea in moderation for a business to have that leverage. And if the company fails to make their debt obligation, creditors will force the company to go into bankrupt and may go back and seize, the assets of the company. Um, but debt holders don't have any voting power for the company, unlike equity holders. So, equity holders, shares of common stock, you own part of the company, you have voting power depending on how much you own. You have the right to any dividends that are paid at the discretion of the board. Dividend payments are not tax deductible, and then shareholders have a residual claim to firms' assets. So if something goes wrong, the company goes belly up, the bank will be there first, and they'll get paid, and anything left over, the scraps, will go to the shareholders. So at a big picture, corporations, federal governments, a lot of local school boards, that kind of stuff, they all issue bonds out to finance their project. Bond is a debt security, and it's a loan that the investor gives to the company or to the government in exchange for interest payments over a term plus repayment of the principal at the bond's maturity date. These interest payments are coupon payments. It just kind of keep them interested in the investment and kind of give them some money back while the duration of the bond is going on. And then bonds are traded on the open market, and a lot of municipal bonds are also tax deductible for individual investors. If you need a place to hide your money, that's tax free. So let's talk about some bond terminology. The bond certificate is the bond itself. It states the terms of the bond. There's a maturity date, which is the time the bond is over and that they'll make the final payment to you. And then the face value is the amount written on the bond certificate and be paid at the maturity date. So in a lot of our examples, we'll be using a face value of $1,000 or $100, and that will never change. So coupons are periodic payments paid every period until the bond matures. And when the bond matures, the last coupon payment is paid on the maturity date. The coupon rate, not to be confused with the yield to maturity, the coupon rate is the interest rate that's stated on the certificate, but it determines the amount of the coupon payments. Okay, and we'll show you how to calculate that in just a second. That's the coupon rate that goes with the payments that are usually made twice a year to the holder of the bond. Yield to maturity is the rate of return for buying the bond and holding into maturity. So you got a couple different things going on here. You're going to buy the bond. They're going to promise you later when the bond matures that they'll pay your investment back or whatever you pay plus the interest. And then while you're waiting on that, they're going to be paying you coupons, and they're going to be sending you payments based on the coupon rate too. So depending on how the bond is traded, though, the yield to maturity might match the market interest rate on the bond. It might be higher, might be lower. We'll explain how that's all determined here in just a little bit. So let's look at a sample bond here. This is a Duke Power Company note from a while back. The face value was $10,000. The coupon rate was 6.85%. That was the maturity date. And that's that's what the bond looks like. $10,000 registered, and you'll get paid the coupon rate until it matures. So again, let's look at this cash flow for coupon bonds. Um, you know, you purchase the bond here, and it's going to mature way out here. So while you're waiting, the coupon represents more or less interest payments paying back to you at regular intervals, usually twice a year, at least once a year, right? And then here's the next to the last coupon payment because this thing's about to mature. When the bond does mature, you'll get the face value of the bond back, or you'll get the face value of the bond, and then you'll get one more coupon payment, the last coupon payment. And so, an example, corporate bonds, treasury notes, treasury bonds are done in this fashion. There's an outlay of cash when you buy it. They start paying you coupons near the end here. You'll get one payment, and then at the end, you'll get one more payment, and then the face value of the bond. Now, this is important to know how to calculate the coupon payments of the bond, and I'll walk you through this. It's not rocket science, but there's some things you need to really absorb here, and we'll be doing a lot of demonstrations of these things on the practice side. But let me show you this. So the coupon payment is this: you take the coupon rate that's given, multiply it times the face value. So again, typically the face value is like $1,000. So then you divide it by the number of coupon payments per year, and that is the amount of payments. So let's look at an example of that. Consider a coupon bond, face value of $1,000, semi-annual coupon payments. Get used to that. That's twice a year, semi-annual. So you're making two payments a year. If the coupon rate is 5%, what are the coupon payments if the bond pays coupons semi-annually? So we can draw a timeline and stuff, and we'll go over this many times, and you'll have it in your assignments to practice this, but let's walk through this. So semi-annual coupons means there's two a year, one coupon every 6 months. The coupon rate is 5%. The face value is 1,000. We're going to take the 5% times 1,000, that's $50, right? 5% times 1,000, $50. But that's the annual rate. We want to know how much is each coupon because there's two coupons a year. So you have to take this total annual coupon value, which is the coupon rate times the face value, divide it by the number of coupon payments, which is two. Each payment then will be $25. So it's important. Sometimes though, it'll just be annual coupons. You won't have to worry about dividing it by two. You'll just pay the $50, right, annually. And we won't go into any more frequency than two in this class, but you could have quarterly coupons if you wanted them. But two is pretty common, and that's so make sure, because you'll also, just kind of giving you a preview of what's to come, you may have to adjust the interest rate in the same fashion where you might have to divide it by two or multiply payments out, etc. So again, here's a coupon bond like we just showed with a face value of 1,000, semi-annual coupon payments, and then the coupon rate's 5%. The bond pays $25 each period, and then at maturity it'll pay $1,025. So you buy it, 25 here, 25 here, 25 here. Next to the last coupon's $25. Then at the very end, you'll get the $1,000 face value back, and you'll get one more payment for $1,025. Okay, so next lecture for like tomorrow, we'll go over again the coupon payments, how to do these bond calculations on your financial calculator, and more about that interest rate scenario I was telling you about.